There's sort of like, there are telltale signs that there is a cult authority going on. It's sort of like a glassy-eyed deference to some ideal that is like impossible to understand from the outsider. A very specific kind of state that is existential in nature when it shouldn't be. It's sort of like, to me in my mind, it's like what they say about pornography. It's hard to define, but you know when you see it. I get it.
Let's back up, Jeff. Why did this take us for 4 years? It's messed up, too.
I've always been interested in the idea that there are powerful mental drivers and motivators that can sort of make people override their own internal sense of critical thinking and things like that. Like, I think of cults in the same way as I think of addiction.
Raised in a cult, that tends to be.
No.
This interest. My wife was also very interested in that, but she was like homeschooled by an ultra religious group of people, which is why she's so interested.
Not at all. It's just like, you know, like mainstream Reform Judaism and like lights and that.
Backtracks would be a service.
Oh, I'm not. Did you think that I was?
No. On mainstream, like, Reform Judaism is not tracked at all. Extreme religious cult that
ISIS. Yeah, it's like 12 hours. It's as simple as that.
raising your children is, you should leave that up to parents, generally speaking. You don't have to like everything that people do with their kids, but I generally lean on, like, let people do whatever they want to do with their kids.
Parents do that are detrimental to children. Like just recently, I was shocked. I think it was less than 10. I want to say this child was 5 years old, weighing around 250 something pounds, and subsequently died of heart failure. And the parents got arrested for cowardice. So, when that kind of treatment of a child is known, that's when the state needs to get involved with the preservation of the wealth and health and well-being of that child. So, no, it should not be up to parents.
I didn't say that as a rule always. I said that you should err on the side of leaving things up to parents. For instance, I think the Amish practice of only educating your kids up to 8th grade is clearly detrimental to children. It deprives them of the choice to be able to leave Amish society because they're so undereducated that they can't function in the broader society. So their decision is basically forced upon them to stay within the group or face extreme poverty, right? Because our society does not provide for people with that level of education, right? But I'm not out here trying to force Amish people to educate their kids. I don't really care about Amish people. So therefore, they should be allowed to kind of do what they want because it's not really impacting me. I think it's negative. I would not want my children to be raised that way, but I'm not going to stop them.
Well, does it stronger override that you don't care if you take away those safeguards, which is what being America, you're just territory that decides, well, I mean, obviously if you're feeding your kid something that's going to kill them, that's extremely different than how you're raising them.
Correct.
Correct.
Did you see the recent vitamin K study?
No.
I was always wondering why the 8th day. Why do we circumcise?
Oh, that's not what you said. Yeah, circumcising before the 8th day, you lack vitamin K, and you need.
Right. It peaks at the 8th day.
Like it peaks at the 8th day, and the nerve endings are also the lightest. After that, it gets more painful.
Right, but we only discovered that like relatively recently.
Yeah, about 25 years ago.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, you know. God has a plan.
I haven't seen Randy. Dr. Randy, we know. Oh, maybe.
Where? Randy.
Listening.
Yeah, that's Randy, we know. That's his chair.
See it all.
Yeah. It's got time for the topic.
You're asking me? How about 10 minutes?
No, Scott.
Oh,
This room, he started it.
Scotty, you still there?
I don't know. I'm beginning to think that.
Was the answer the right? Have we've come to that conclusion?
Oh, it's clearly the left. It's a troll question.
The left, you know, there is this so-called horseshoe theory that they're starting to converge from the left and the right, but I said historically it was the left.
But the horseshoe theory is true, but they leave. I mean, Tucker Carlson in the quintessential case, he left the Republican Party.
Yeah, but he's still a right-wing guy.
Really? He wants to rip apart. What's he conserving? He wants to rip apart every foundational.
Wait, are we talking about the United States, or are we?
This guy, what about the guy running for Congress and it said in Florida? It says the only real battle in the world today, Republican, that I see worth fighting is fucking, exterminating Israel. I mean, I would sign up tomorrow and go fucking put boots on the ground and go fucking kill Israel.
Oh, is that Plattner?
That's Dan Bilzerian.
No,
Republican running for Congress in Florida.
No, this is the opposite. Plainer's on the left, allegedly, and he's
Yeah. But he said the similar things.
Platter is going to get beaten by the greatest political survivor in American politics, Susan Collins.
If we're making a distinction, wouldn't it be best to just see where the modal Jewish person, what their view is, where they line up in terms of their voting habits?
A modal Jewish person?
Yeah, like the typical, like who the typical, like which side the typical Jew votes for.
No, that would be.
I would assume.
I don't know what the typical Jew means.
So the average person who is Jewish in the United States, do they vote? I would assume that they would avoid voting for the people who hate them, right? I mean, that's what black people do. They
Well, that would be a bad assumption.
hate them.
First of all, black people do vote for people that hate them. They vote for Democrats all the time.
Well, they don't because black people black people vote for the party that best represents their interests.
Oh, but they don't. But that's a whole separate topic. But
they do. They do as they define their interests, right?
Okay, so they and they're wrong. So it's a.
Well, how can you can't tell people that they're wrong about their interests? You don't know their interests better. That's patronizing. You don't know their interests better than they do.
Okay, so let's get to the main point. The reason why that's a bad litmus test is because people vote for cacophony of reasons, including being incorrect about things and including inertia. There's many reasons. So if you go to the average voter, you would have to then go much deeper and say, why did you vote for the person? And they would say, yes, we had problem X, but I had Z, A, and B, C that I voted for. So it's not it might be a decent starting point, but it's far from a conclusive evidence of people voting on the left, and the left is less
Well, I think people are pretty good at picking up who hates them. I mean, for instance, we just had the release of Sam Tannenhouse's book on William F. Buckley, which was approved by the Buckley family and William F. Buckley himself to write, and he got access to all of his documents, right? William F. Buckley, when he was in high school, in prep school in the United States, he was writing in defense of Jim Crow. His family was running a White Citizens Council ad in a newspaper they controlled in South Carolina. We didn't know this at the time, but black people sure knew National Review was racist, right? And the White Citizens Council stuff that he was doing, his family was doing in South Carolina, that was not public knowledge, right? But that was obviously sniffed out. I mean, he wrote Why the South Must Prevail in 1957, saying that whites have the right to rule in the South, even when they're a minority, have the right to use terroristic violence because they're a more advanced race. So I think people are in fact capable of discerning who has their interests at heart and who is against them. I think it is a fair heuristic in order to determine whether or not one side or the other is for you or against you.
Well, the first one didn't. It didn't address literally anything I said, and it was a terrible proof. So I'm not even sure where to go from here.
Well, sure it did, right? Because it addressed the fact that like people were aware that like National Review and that whole project was a racist project, and that's why the people who had been previously voting for Republicans, because remember, in the time that William F. Buckley was in high school, most black people would have been Republicans, right? This was the 1950s or 1940s.
Besides the fact
right?
for your anecdotal irrelevance, this is like I really don't know where to go from it.
Wait, how is it irrelevant? Because I'm saying that people's views moved based off of who controlled the party.
You said that 3 times. It was anecdotal, therefore irrelevant.
Wait, how is it anecdotal?
Because it was one person who lost the primary. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Wait,
All you proved was that Buckley. All you proved was that Buckley was a racist. How does that translate to?
Because he was the architect of the modern
But this is anecdotal. This is one person you're talking about.
Totally anecdotal.
He is the person who put together the modern Republican Party.
I get it, but it's not totally valid.
Yeah.
That is retarded. The modern Republican Party was put together by Reagan.
No, it wasn't.
And JFK would fit well into today's Republican Party. JFK would act at the Republican RNC like he'd fit right in. We didn't have no clue what's going on at the Democratic convention.
Have you read Sam Taylor's
but he's right about William F. Buckley. William F. Buckley was the largest noted intellectual at the time.
Yes.
At the time.
The only thing that was wider and more fringe was the John Birch Society, right? And William F. Buckley was to the left of the Birch Society. Birch Society was to the right of him.
Yeah, but
Right,
Marshall, how does that matter to what we're discussing? He didn't address at all the fact that it's a cacophony of issues. He didn't address the fact that the parties have shifted drastically in the last couple of years, making Buckley totally irrelevant. He did address the fact that even if it was correct...
I just thought he was talking about Buckley and like...
He's being like anecdotal as anything. I just really know where to go from there. I'm just going to...
the parties, on this topic, the parties haven't shifted at all. The Republican Party hasn't shifted at all, not in terms of parties.
They haven't been shifted. Where have you been? The Democrats...
They haven't shifted at all.
Okay, okay, sure, no problem.
Not on this topic, they haven't. This has been a consistent topic. I mean, they're gutting the Voting Rights Act. They haven't shifted at all on any of this stuff.
I mean, if you think that gutting the Voting Rights Act is a racist thing, we literally have common language.
I mean, black people definitely feel that way, 100%.
Yeah, the Democrat Party has convinced a couple of low information black people of that.
But
it's the most racist, vile. But listen.
Wait a minute.
Racist, listen, no, I'm not gonna.
I'm not low information though.
But it's the most racist of vile stupidity to claim that.
I just brought up the Sam Tannenhouse book, which I guarantee you didn't read.
It is the most vile, racist stupidity to assume that black people are incapable of getting voter ID, and it's somehow a racist thing to say.
Wait a minute.
Should vote. It's stupidity to them.
Wait. Why would you need to? What does gutting the pre-clearance statute of the Voting Rights Act in 2013 have to do with getting voter ID? That's not what the law was.
Right, sure. You just the Republicans are just secret racists. You're right.
No, they're not secretly racist. They're openly racist.
Sure.
I'm not saying they're secretly racist. I'm saying that one of the parts of the three-legged stool was anti-civil rights. That was one of the main parts of the three-legged stool. When Buckley was in college at Yale, there was an exchange program at Yale to bring black students from Morehouse and Spelman to Yale to visit and have an exchange during the civil rights movement. And Buckley was the editor of the student newspaper, and he was totally against that. He didn't want to have black kids, and he made clear that he was against it. He was an unreconstructed segregationist. His mom was from the Deep South. That's what he was.
the DSA takes over the Democrat Party and they openly say that anti-Jewish symbols and they hide behind Zionism, but they say openly Jewish symbols and anti-American things, and they're using the Jewish cause as their way to claw anti-American, to smuggle in anti-American ideas. Then because of Buckley, then I guess the left is good for Jews. You made your case.
The DSA is only relevant in deeply blue places, right?
And who on the Democrat leadership has spoken against them?
So they're not relevant in places that are not deeply.
Not yet. And who?
Not yet. Wait, one second.
I asked you a question. And
we've just started. We're in a primary. They shouldn't. We're trying to win here. Like, right? We're trying to win. So we can speak out about them after we get through the election cycle. But we need to claw back some seats.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you win the primary in a deep blue state, you'll win the general. So these three will be in Congress.
That's ridiculous because
that's ridiculous.
No, it's ridiculous to say that we have to win because they could be honest.
No, I'm just saying.
No, what Adam said is ridiculous because they could be honest and say they have no place in the party. We're not going to be giving them any committee seats, but we'd like to win, so we need them in order to win.
Wait, why would you do that?
No,
because then you don't completely cannibalize your party. And
no, we want people to turn out in the general. We don't want to do that.
Yeah,
that's a bad.
We should just disown these people.
That means you want to win more than have an ideology. I know that. We do that since Obama.
We do, because the Democratic Party isn't an ideological party. It's not.
Oh my God,
it's a bunch of different people. Yeah, I want to win. Yes,
I mean, the wings of the Democratic Party are almost certainly ideological.
But it's not. The Democratic Party does not have a central ideology. It does not. Everybody in the Republican Party has to say that they're a conservative. Everybody in the Democratic Party doesn't have to say anything.
Not with Trump anymore. Conservative is a bad word among all those Trump voters.
I don't know about that.
It's considered a bad word.
The Democratic Party has a logical purity in a way that the Republican Party never did.
So I mean, if that was true, Republicans would win popular votes more often, but they don't.
They would get a large share of the 20th century with Bush and Trump. We had won popular votes when we had won. Those are the only two instances.
Yeah, but we're in the 21st century.
In the 21st century in which we hadn't.
We're in the 21st century.
Why are you accepting the premise? It's a stupid premise. Why are you accepting this premise? He made that up at thin air. The reason why Republicans don't win more is because the Democrats are way better at marketing. Nothing to do with the fact that they don't have an ideology.
They have a better ground game. The Democrats are better canvassing.
Have you not seen the jobs report? Have you not seen the jobs report just now? We got 57,000 jobs this month.
They're absolutely terrible at governing. The problem with having an ideology is it takes more than a sound clip to get it out there. And
what would you say?
Then you get all these low information people that have these ideas, but they can't hold it up.
So if we look from Ronald Reagan's presidency to present, right? Which party would you say has had more jobs created under their tenure? Democrats or Republicans? This is what people actually care about. Which party would you say has had more jobs created under their tenure? Democrats or Republicans?
Most definitely Republicans, and if you're going to try to pull up a report about who was in... Okay, idiots. I have no time for you. Such an idiot. If you're gonna try to bring up who was what happened under which president, that is the directional error of like.
Wait, are we just defining just the president or control of Congress? Like, there's so many variables.
This is a long period of time. So Congress has been.
I know, but hold on. The president has so little control over the economy.
But then it should be fairly even, right?
No, Adam, I just one question for you. Do you ever get sick of being so wrong in all your predictions and being proven wrong over and over?
I would think that if this was the case, right? If the president didn't matter, that because like Congress has been controlled by either party in.
But don't be stupid.
No, but fiscal. Hold on. What I was trying to say is fiscal policy is such a smaller driver than. My brain isn't working right now. I hate aphasia. The government's. Yeah, no. What the government's spending.
Which one are you eating? That's why your brain's not working.
I still don't understand.
No, I'm being serious.
There's two policies. One is fiscal policy, which is the Fed, and the other is what's the spending policy. The $7 trillion federal budget, compared to the total, it's more about what the Fed does and less about what the government actually spends that controls the economy. Sorry, I'll shut up for a moment.
We're talking like 50 years.
Good idea. Because if you can't speak, it's a good idea to shut up.
It's difficult when you say just the president. I mean,
You should take your own advice and shut up.
But then again, if the president has little to do, the numbers shouldn't be skewed between the two, right? They should be fairly consistent.
Just shut up.
We shouldn't see big swings.
Well, do you think maybe we should do a room explaining correlation versus causation?
Separate room.
But why is it always in one direction? I think this is a lot of cope. That's why we're getting the answers that we're getting.
Yeah, if I can just comment really quickly, as you know, this has been studied ad nauseum, that the economy overall does better when there's and I am not a Democrat, let me caveat that, I'm not a Democrat, but the economy, going back to the Great Depression, does better overall when there's a Democrat in the White House and the Dems control at least one body of the Congress. And the reason, again, this has been studied and people try to come up with theories. The reason is Democrats are willing to spend their way out of a bad economy, or more willing, let me rephrase that. Democrats are more willing to spend their way out of a bad economy than Republicans seem to be. But
Daryl, that is correct.
Yeah, my lifetime austerity than to excess spending. Aside from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the excess spender of my lifetime in my party.
Yeah, but we're not in a recession. So Daryl is correct.
No, I'm not saying we're not in a recession. I'm just saying, like, in my lifetime, there is only one president who has not tried austerity, and it's been Trump. You know me, dude. Like, I'm more of a fiscal conservative than a lot of people, but like, we don't have a leg to stand on that anymore.
The difference is from Ronald Reagan's presidency, which was the only Republican presidency with a significant increase in job production since beyond him. Republicans have created 17
G-dubs?
No, it was terrible. 17 million jobs have been created net during Republican presidencies. During Democratic presidencies, it's 50 million. And one of the big reasons that when we're in a recession, 9 out of the last 10 have been under Republicans, but when we're in a recession, Republicans, this is the most consistent view of either party over their entire history. Republicans view recessions as acts of nature. They have a liquidationist mindset. They've had it since before the Great Depression. They don't believe in counter-cyclical spending. And when FDR was elected, Herbert Hoover was on the phone before he took office trying to convince him to not spend any money into the economy to get out of the Great Depression. This is the most consistent ideological position of either party. The parties have switched on all sorts of other things, but the Republicans have consistently been a jungle capitalism party where you're just supposed to let the companies that are viewed as not making it Darwinian, they're supposed to die. And that leads to deflation. And that leads to depression when you do that in a recession. So that's like one of the main drivers. The other big driver is that when the economy isn't doing bad, Republicans are willing to engage and start big, stupid wars in the Middle East, which disrupt the economy without any thought. They've done it multiple times. That's the other thing that will lead to negative economic growth, as we see with this Iran war, and they spend enormous amounts on wars without any concomitant increase in taxation as well, and that's a big drag on
I've never understood, economically. I don't understand why, I won't say like Republicans, right? I'll say conservatives. Why conservatives don't understand that sometimes you have to spend your way out of a home. And they push back against it, they reject it. And again, historically, this is not about how you feel about Republicans or Democrats. Just look at the data. The data says that sometimes you have to spin your way out of a problem. And, to the previous speaker, he's absolutely right. You don't, you end up with stagflation. You end up with depression. I don't get why everyone is so locked in to an ideology when all you have to do is look at the information. It's not about how you feel about liberals or conservatives. The data doesn't lie. Just look at the data.
My thought, I've been trying to think about this. My thought on this is that the conservative movement is fundamentally not interested in growth. They're interested in distribution of what already exists. That's why they have pretty, fairly anemic job growth and GDP growth in their presidencies, but they're focused on top marginal tax rates and business tax rates, right? They're focused on making sure those who have the most keep the most and get more, and not on how do we increase growth in the economy overall. They have slower growth rates over these periods than Democratic presidents do, because their focus is on how to get more money to rich people. And the richer you get, the less money you spend in an economy that's mostly about our consumer spending, right? Rich people don't spend that much because you don't have to spend that much when you're super rich in order to maintain your lifestyle. You can have a very lavish lifestyle if you make a ton of money and not spend a lot of money in terms of your net worth, right? So you save it. So, I think that's the pretty consistent thing. They've kind of always been the party of large incumbent businesses since industrialization. And obviously large incumbent businesses have lots of...
Since at least McKinley. I said since at least McKinley.
Yeah. And since those people
Wait,
got money...
Marshall, it makes no sense. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, Adam. I'm saying this respectfully. But if you look at both sides of the aisle, both sides enrich themselves. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She's increased her net worth by millions, plural. And she didn't help me, she didn't help you, she didn't help anybody else but herself and her husband. So I think it goes on both sides of the aisle.
We're talking about the policies that the parties pursue, not individuals. So what I'm saying is when we are in a recession, Republicans do not believe in Keynesian economics. Remember, when we had 2008, Republicans wanted us to be like the UK. They wanted us to not spend, right? They wanted us to just gut it out. And what gutting it out means is lots of people lose their jobs, and as they lose their jobs, they stop spending, and as they stop spending, it gets worse, and it gets worse, and it gets worse, and more people lose their jobs, and then more people stop spending. It's a cycle, right? I don't
think people understand. Unemployed people don't pay income taxes because they have no income tax. Personal income tax is the #1 revenue generator for this country. This is why we have the deficit that we have, because we're not collecting enough revenue through personal income tax, so we have to issue debt. And the debt is to cover the deficit between our spending and what we're not collecting in income tax.
Don't forget that debt is at tremendous interest.
Correct. We're told by Trump, we don't have money for single-payer health care because we're in a war. A war nobody wanted. A war nobody had a chance. You just woke up one Saturday morning and we were at war with Iran. That's literally what happened. There was you went to sleep on Friday and it was normal. Relatively normal. And you didn't know anything. There was no talk about this during the campaign. There was nothing. And then you woke up and we were at war. And there's always the green eye shade accountants when you ask to spend something on Americans. But if there is a war, especially if it's in the Middle East, if there is a war in the Middle East, it is infinity money. They will spend infinity. They do not care about how much it costs. They're not trying to pay for it. It's just like let the money cannon go.
Adam, let me ask you a question. Adam, let me just ask you this question. And I don't disagree with what you're saying. Do you feel that Trump wants to end this war at any point, or he really doesn't give a shit? Because to me, I still don't even know why we went to war.
I mean, I don't know why we went to war. Does he want to end the war? I mean, he can want to end it, but let's be honest. This seems like I'm not positive, but I think this was kind of illegal what he did. Like when I don't think you're allowed to knock off the leaders of sovereign countries like that. And by doing it, like they're not gonna let you out, right? They're not just gonna end the war.
Wait, do you think it was a test?
You want to?
Do you think Venezuela was a test run for Iran?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the difference between Venezuela and Iran is that Venezuela is like a shallow, like kind of dictatorship where the people just got there, right? Like, I don't get the sense of the people in Venezuela like super care about their leaders like that. But Iran is like one of the oldest countries in the world, right? They have a sense of nationalism which is unlike ours. It's like super, super old. They've thought of themselves as a nation for like centuries, tens of centuries, right? So they're like it's not the same, right? These are people who just like fight all the time. People in like the new world, like they don't fight wars like that over here.
Well,
right? We're not like that.
Iran was really quickly. Iran is that, and this ties to Venezuela, right? Iran was selling oil outside of the petrol system, and that's something that can't be allowed. Venezuela is about controlling oil on the Western, or controlling natural resources on the Western Hemisphere. It wasn't really about, think about it, right? After we went, no one was talking about fentanyl anymore, right? But now we're talking about oil. The global energy chain is a big part of this. Iran was selling oil to China in RMB. That means they're selling money outside of the petrol systems, which means if you...
That's the renminbi, right?
Yeah, the RMB, yeah. So it's the renminbi. So Iran's selling oil out to China in Chinese yuan. China starts now thinking, hey, maybe we don't actually need the US dollar as the world's reserve currency because it affects so many different markets. It forces countries to hoard dollars. They usually hoard these dollars by buying US Treasury notes because the United States has never defaulted on its debt. So if I'm a country that needs to buy oil, then I'm very likely going to be buying US Treasuries because those in... Go ahead.
I just want to ask you a question because I know David's been trying to jump in. What's the exit strategy out of Iran? Is there an exit strategy?
There's no strategy.
It's called taking our toys and going home.
A failed
going
state.
back. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, this was a horrible, look, you understand something. They made a big down payment on the Trump administration to go into Iran. A lot of his backers did, and I'm not going to name who those people are, but they put a big down payment for us to go in there, okay? And he thought he could do Venezuela 2.0. In fact, he was relying on, you understand something, he's not a war president. He's not a president that understands strategy. He wasn't in the military. This is a real estate speculator, right? And so...
a draft dodger.
And a draft dodger multiple times, yeah. So he basically got buffaloed, in my opinion, he got buffaloed into going in there. And when he broke it, like Colin Powell used to say, when he used to advise Trump Sr., especially about taking out Saddam Hussein, he says, if we go in there and break it, we own it.
Bush
Right?
Senior.
Yeah, that's what I said, Bush Senior. Yeah.
You said Trump Senior. It was funny.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bush Senior. I'm sorry. Right? Sorry, man. I'm like still early in the morning. I need more coffee. Yeah, no. So we've always had a strategy, but when we went in, also think about it. We were also we were way more powerful, in my humble opinion, with Bush Senior as a nation because we just conquered the Cold War. But what did Bush Senior do? He said, "Hey, we got to take the Saddam guy out." There's obviously talking points about did we let Saddam go into Kuwait and do we set the guy up? But even with that said, we still went to our allies and said, listen, allies, we got to go in and take this guy out. So we're going to put together a coalition. And that's the difference here. Instead of Trump saying to the nations, instead of pissing off our allies and trying to go after Greenland and all this other shit that he was doing, our 70-year, architecture that was built after the Cold War, instead of saying, hey, we need to go in and take this guy out because he's got nukes, we got to defend our friend Israel as well because they can't go it alone. Are you guys in? And are you guys in? And this is the strategy. How many troops are you going to commit to? Instead, he bought this cockamamie idea that we're going to decapitate the head of the snake. There was a New York Times unleashed an article that broke a story that Ahmadinejad was kind of he was kind of a mole within the IRGC, and that we were going to reprop him up as the new leader, the de facto leader, after we took out that leadership of Ayatollah and his other officials that ran the government. Well, apparently that plan fell apart. We didn't have our Kelsey Rodriguez the way we did in Venezuela, and now we're left with an even more reactionary regime because the guy in charge now lost parents, lost his wife, lost his kids, and these decapitation efforts. So now you got an even more rabid Iranian leadership.
Yeah, so he's mad. He's not just going to let us out.
Correct. Exactly.
If I was running things and you killed my family, I'm not going to just let you go home.
So
I'd also say we lost our story, right? America is just a story. It's a creation. It's an experiment, right? And I think the way that Trump has prosecuted this war has shown it's like if you knock the bully out in the playground, they're not the bully anymore, right? And that's really the biggest loss of this whole thing. Of people don't take us seriously. Everything is a joke. We're perceived as inept, as ineffectual, like that. This has long-reaching impacts way beyond this war and this interaction. Literally, the emperor has no clothes. We've lost our story. And how do you get that back? Or how do we get to a point that Iran, people around the world are saying, wow, why do we believe Iran's take of what came out of the negotiations more than we believe the United States? That is a death blow. We only have our narrative. That's what we've got. And a whole bucket of consumers. And we're strangling both.
I think what happened here as well is that no one was sold on this, right? So there wasn't a lot of pushback on Venezuela because it was super quick, right? So it's over, it's like whatever. But what you have to understand is that the average Venezuela, I'm sure that he's getting pressure from like American people who are Venezuelan extraction. It's kind of like Cuba, right? Cuban Americans care that like the Castro regime and the communists in Cuba. I'm Jamaican. I don't give a fuck who's running Cuba. Neither does anybody else in the Caribbean, right? Like, I'm not trying to die or fight to liberate. I don't care, right? And most Americans are not Cuban, right? And they do not care who's running Cuba. Subsequently, most Americans are not Middle Eastern or Jewish, and they do not care about Iran. They just don't. They do not care. So, if there is going to be a war, you've got to show that Americans are at risk. You've got to, like, get them to feel some. Nobody felt like they were going to be at, like, they were just, like, saying that we were going to get nuked. Like, we have nukes. We understand what mutually assured destruction is. We're not worried that nobody is actually worried that America is going to get nuked. Is Iran a threat to Israel? 100%. I believe that they would kill every single one of those Israelis if given the opportunity to do so, right? But most Americans don't care about old world conflicts. They don't care that India and Pakistan are at each other's. They don't care. They're not Indian and they're not Pakistani. That's a blood feud between two nation states. And if you're not related to either part of those nation states, why do you care? And that's what I think people are missing. You're not going to tell people that it's un-American to oppose a war when nobody in America is running around thinking Iran is going to nuke us. That's not reality. You could make the argument that if you think that Israel is at such risk, you could make the argument that Israelis could migrate to the United States, right? But I don't know that you're going to be able to sell to people after what we've been through in the past 15 years with COVID and everything and stagnant wages that they need to, and 2 wars already that went shitty in the Middle East. I don't think you're going to sell to them to go to another war. And this time, there wasn't even a 9/11 to precipitate it, which is why you saw that there was no bump the day we went in. None. Because people were not buying that we were at risk. Because nobody, if Iran was such a threat, that would have been a major part of the campaign. And it wasn't.
Hi, Andrea. Welcome.
Hey, happy pre-4th. I'm just trying to get caught up on the conversation, but I think it's interesting. I was just having this conversation about how much, noting how unpopular, of course, the war is, but also being struck by there is an animated enough base that is against the war, but in particular against the attacks on Palestine that are making waves. There are enough of people in that base that care enough about it that are also anti-war, but they most definitely care enough about it to have an impact on elections and races and the current dialogue. And what I find interesting is where that sits and who it is, because I think that when you talk to different populations across the country, that ranks as less of a priority for, say, a lot of young people in places like Colorado and North Carolina, but in a lot of, I wish I had the breakdown of this. I don't have access to the data right now, but I was looking at this, and there are, for New York, East Coast state, blue state, people are super animated around this issue. So I don't think that it's true that people don't care about these things, but I think that people care, and they don't want us taking these actions in the world anymore. And in terms of Denise losing the story, people don't believe a lot of what this administration says because they have been caught lying over and over and over again. So why should we believe, much?
Yeah, I think I think that is really important to think about as we think about how we exit this war. You can exit, you can lose, you can pretend to win. There's a really small bucket of options at this point. But the bottom line is, we do not look like a bastion of strength, and maybe the changing of the name to the Department of War wasn't the flex that we thought it was. Maybe we should go back to the Department of Defense.
We lost. It's very clear we lost. They said that
we just lost.
Change, and there's no regime change.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and we lost. I guess the point that I'm making is we've lost more than that.
Oh yeah.
Because now there's this feeling of vulnerability, and also we've lost alignment. Canada is making all kinds of treaties and negotiations they never would have made. That really just completely around us at a time that we need more allies and better deals. We are now positioned to have access to fewer deals and of much lower quality. No matter who is elected in the next election, right? This was a very expensive course of action, and I'm not sure how we what the what the thing up on aisle 3 looks like.
And I think it's even more than that. It's that we have squandered our soft power in diplomacy. We have shown that a massive military power wasn't able. I mean, I believe, you know, we didn't drop a nuclear bomb on them, but we still have shown that the might of the American military, I believe, you know, wasn't enough to stop them or to get them to back down. So, and it's almost as if you look at all this and you feel like, in a way, it's like, is somebody paying them to destroy all of America's competitive advantages in the world and, you know, strong relationships? It's like, and there was so much incompetence involved in it along the way that it's like mind-boggling. And, you know, people get really frustrated about privilege and all these other things, but, like, we literally, I mean, you see, like, almost criminal or lack of transparency deals going on all the time. You have non-diplomats, government, you know, advisors who are business partners of Trump, and, you know, doing deals and making decisions that cost lives, more importantly, and completely squandered our munitions, our stockpiles, our...
They ruined all our weapons! They stole all our weapons!
And there's more, David.
Well, no, it didn't. Well, think about it. We had our Gulf allies arrayed against Iran. And on the side of Israel, we had these vaunted Abraham Accords, which were opening up the commerce, the travel between former foes of one another, speaking of citizens of Israel, citizens of UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and other places like that. And then we put bases there and cut deals going back to Roosevelt when he sat on the battleship, the Essex battleship. But we cut a deal and we've been protecting Saudi Arabia ever more for recovering oil prices. And then we go into this incursion. And when it's wrong too, they go after our Gulf allies over what we couldn't protect. Not only that, we had a big naval base that was decimated. And none of this really made Fox News or the other news channels, surprisingly. But now our Gulf allies are saying, what can you guys to us if you guys can't defend us against our arch enemy now? And our arch enemy holds all our oil hostage with this little bottleneck straight up on us.
It turns out that the Republicans hated the JCPOA because it didn't give Iran enough money. They want to give them $300 billion plus. Right? The $1.5 billion on the Obama deal was small potatoes. That's why they hated it.
No, we have to be a little bit accurate here. It's not true that they're getting even more money. The $300 billion is the MOU is not binding. And I want to point out to you how the UAE has responded to the attacks of Islamic revolutionary genocide. That is, they formed a deeper security and defense alliance with Israel, which is what the guys don't do. And I would say that the attack, the inexplicable and undeserved attacks of the Islamic revolutionary genocide on their Gulf allies, not only on U.S. bases, but on civilian targets or on municipal targets on infrastructure, has persuaded the Arabian Peninsula allies that the IRGC is untenable and untrustworthy.
But that doesn't answer what we're talking about in terms of that we're talking about U.S. influence around the world. We've been humiliated.
We've been humiliated!
You disagree, but
We've been humiliated.
This is what they're for. And that money will be with the requisition years ago. And it is important to use our...
But then why did they ask for more money?
I want to ask you a question. I definitely want to hear your question. Let me finish my thought. This is exactly what our military power
responses as pirates, taking a public waterway and seizing it like the pirates that they are. And now I'll take any of your questions.
I would just say we did call for regime change, so it becomes an existential fight for Iran, right? Because I don't think that they're too keen. I mean, they killed a bunch of their leaders. I don't think they're too keen to be killed, right? I don't think they're gonna roll over. If that was me and people were coming for me, I'm killing all their family. Right? Like that just seems like a reasonable thing.
I don't get
that
this
seems like
family killing thing. What is
if you are in a situation where a clearly superior adversary,
you're saying they're fighting for their lives 100%.
Yes.
No argument.
So I don't understand why it's inexplicable that they would attack our allies, because our allies can be touched. They're close.
They're attacking their neighbors, their innocent civilian neighbors.
Yes. Yes.
What do they hope to gain out of that?
What they hope to gain
irrational.
It's totally rational. They hope to gain a pressure campaign to stop us from doing what we want to do to them.
So they've exactly the opposite. Because by the way, they're attacking innocent civilians. Nobody seems to care. But they've achieved the opposite because they've shown these allies that the IRGC is completely untrustworthy. They are apocalyptic. They are vicious. They are bloodthirsty, and they'll just attack anybody for no reason at all.
Are we bloodthirsty? Are we apocalyptic?
Obviously not. Do you know what I mean by apocalyptic?
Wait.
They're
So
trying to bring about the end of the world.
When Trump said that he's going to wipe out an entire civilization,
what about it?
Was that apocalyptic?
Well, he's not doing that.
I'm not asking you, when he said that, was that apocalyptic?
Of course not. This is Trump.
It wasn't. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bloviating. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you know we bloviate. Everybody knows that.
Well, see, but don't you think that everyone knows that means that he has no credibility?
Not at all.
I guess I'm listening to you. Hold on. I'm listening to you, and I really am listening, because I'm just like, you're one of the few people, I've not heard anybody describe us as victorious here.
You should listen to all of the military leaders who comment on this every single day, and you would hear the same thing.
I'm sure we have different news feeds.
This
so that's not what I'm hearing.
Military leaders.
This is
general.
Military leaders from which country?
America.
Which country? Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
I don't think that's accurate. It's overwhelmingly accurate.
Okay, that's why I asked the question. I was curious as to what you consider victory, and this feels like victory to you.
So
you think that we are winning this war?
Is the destruction of our enemies, the degrading and destruction of our enemies. Very simple.
What does that actually mean to you, Norm? It doesn't say much.
No. We hit them militarily and take out their military capability. I think it says everything. The idea that the words military victory don't say much, I find baffling.
Then prepare to be enlightened. Just like put more detail. I'm asking you for more detail.
When you set an intention, when you go into a conflict and you don't accomplish any of the
how humiliating! It's so humiliating. We lost the war. We spent all our ammunition.
Say again?
To end the nuclear program.
Okay, I will state the goals of the war. They were fourfold, and they were repeated numerous times. I think it's disingenuous when people pretend not to have heard them. Number 1, no nukes. Number 2, no ballistics. Number 3, no proxies. And number 4, don't slaughter your own people.
What about regime
change?
What about regime change?
What about regime change? Would be nice, but it was never a stated goal.
That's not what?
Come on now.
Also, they flip-flop on the goals for any state goals. They did it illegally.
No, it is not illegal, and it's very, very, very clear. So why don't you engage with the actual goals instead of arguing about what was not?
Are they not killing their populations now?
What I'm engaging with is the fact. What I'm engaging with is that the fact that they were so unclear. They did not feel like they had to engage the American people in a pursuit that we have to pay for. So what you say are the goals that they laid out are not the goals that I remember that they laid out, and there was confusion around that. And why? Hold on. I listened to you.
It was deliberate.
It was spelled out from the beginning.
It was not spelled out from the beginning.
100%.
Listen, you
day
can
one.
listen.
Day one.
You can rewrite history however you
I'm not
want
rewriting
to.
history. I'm telling
It
you
was
what was said from the
confusing.
beginning.
It was
Not
unclear. And if we
Which
call
one do
that,
you
if
not
we,
understand?
And it changed.
I understand perfectly.
So why did you say they're unclear? What's
I said
unclear about it?
they were not stated
Okay, let's go
clearly
through
at
the
the
one by
outset of
I-
this war.
Sure
And
they
like
were.
you say that there
Yes.
was no statement of regime change, but multiple people
I
on
said it
this
was not a
stage
stated goal.
remember.
This is not like, we're not doing this like,
What?
what do you remember as opposed to what I remember?
Told the Iranian
Because you
people
just want us to accept your memory.
It's not my memory. These are the facts as I'm reporting them.
These are the facts as they have been restated and manipulated across the time of this.
No manipulation. I'll say it again.
Okay.
Anybody disagree with no nuke?
Projection says what?
Anybody disagree?
Projection says what?
Where we disagree is regime change.
Slow down. Regime change is something that you'll notice America is very reluctant to do and has been a failure.
I'm just saying what he said. I don't have
He just
a
tried to
dog
do
in my
it
head.
in Venezuela too, and behind Cuba.
Separate country. Not talking about Venezuela, talking about the Islamic Revolution.
You know what? It's really interesting how.
You know what? It's my show now, bitch.
It's very interesting about.
I don't want to hear nothing. I just want to talk. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I'm naming something. Well, you've been talking nonstop. So.
This projection says what?
Naming that.
Projection says what?
Allow a kind of like patience and a tolerance of Trump's antics.
Number one, no, we agree. Number two, no ballistic, we agree. Number three, no proxies, we agree. Yes. Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, we agree. And number four, stop slaughtering your own people. Any disagreement are there no proxies? The proxies have been massively degraded. That's what we've done. Are there no proxies? 40 days of war. Yeah. Are there no proxies? I thought this was supposed to be like, I thought this would have been much shorter than that. Again? Well, it was supposed to be 40 days of war. That's exactly how long it lasts. I would active war.
Is it over?
I don't know wherever.
I don't think it's over. I just think it's really funny. I guess you asked your questions. But you left out regime change. Because that's what they said.
They didn't try to shine them in slaughtering their own people. If they did, they would have been convened.
Yes, I'm sorry, it has to stop. The slaughter of the 40,000 is one of the triggers of the war. Has to stop.
That was not one of the triggers of the war. For real.
Of course.
If it was, they would have intervened.
It's your world. Say what you wanna say in your world. It's your reality. It is your perspective and your relativity. I know the truth and I am a subject matter actor.
His own people. I think it's bizarre. I think it's bizarre to kind of
Weird and bizarre.
That's another reason. That's another loss in this whole thing. So wait a minute. Okay. So you said you wanted to ask your questions and then I can make my comment. So but I guess that's not true. So why don't you go ahead and say what you have to say, and then I'll speak.
What we have to say. That way you interrupted me. I was going to interject you. Don't be intimidated by it.
I've never been intimidated. Go ahead and finish what you have to say.
No, you go ahead. It's your turn. Say what you want to say.
so we can have an actual conversation. So you say what you have to say.
Saying what we have to say. So,
Wait, not it, but
the conversation from the state executive all the way government moves forward massively as indications of victory. And you now want to put the president, when you consider more communications bill.
no, what I consider is a dishonest retelling and recalibrating of the story. The story constantly moves to accommodate and to justify that no matter what happens, Trump was right. Trump was right. This was a good choice of action. You're winning. It's revisionist history. It's hard to watch revisionist history one time. But if you, I told you several times, you know, for some reason you're not listening. We don't agree. We just don't agree. I think it was a stated goal of regime change, and I don't know how it's going to change. I have a question. Hi, Elle. Hi, Monica. Let's welcome whoever's new to the stage. Hi, Elle.
You made a claim. You said that the president said he would change the regime. Show us, and I will escape to you. Otherwise, the question of your claim is who wants to go next?
I just wanted to ask him if he succeeded so breathtakingly and if we're winning, why do you think this movement has been so unpopular in the United States and so unpopular from day one?
I think we have lost our appetite for asserting American military dominance, where we must assert it in order to maintain the things that we hold dear. The freedom of the waterways, the freedom of trade. Hang on, don't interrupt. Hang on.
No, I'm not. Hold on. How in the world
it's Marshall.
does the U.S. Navy being project American power?
Exactly.
I completely
It's
disagree with your claim.
revisionist history.
It's not
We can't have everybody about a guy named Robert D. Kaplan, who was a writer for a think tank.
I know Robert Kaplan very well.
He argued specifically
I
the
heard
U.S.
his
Navy
argument.
is no longer fit for purpose.
I completely disagree. I completely disagree.
What we have too long to build the ships, and C, we don't have enough people to man the ships.
This is a separate question.
The promise after World War II was that we would keep the sea lanes of communication and trade open. You hear me fucking talking?
Let's talk, yeah, but
So,
also telling you that you're changing the topic.
With your pesky facts.
I'm not doing that, Norm. At all.
It's Marshallstown! Whose town? King Marshallstown!
It's a lot. And you know what it is?
I was eating salad. I was getting my
It's sad.
What happened?
Scott, you missed out, man.
It's just, I mean, it's something to just watch revisionist history in real time. You know, I mean, Norm would have been helpful after the Civil War to rewrite the story of the Confederacy. He would have been handy. Like, I mean, you just have to be honest. We just have to be honest, and it's exhausting to kind of like have this like bizarre like.
Whose town? Marshallstown!
It's a lot. It's a lot to just like. It's okay to say this didn't go according to plan. This didn't go well, but to like try to frame it as some big victory is weird. Weird alert! Weird alert! We hit the weird alert system!
Why this war is unpopular is because fundamentally most Americans don't care about Iran. Saying that Iranians champion death to Iran, most Americans don't give a shit about it.
I don't give no shit!
A country, 70,000 miles away, doesn't like us, who cares? Right?
The problem is that they are actively, militarily attacking us and
our allies. It's unacceptable.
We don't care about the allies. We care about our attack.
You don't care, but Americans care.
But whenever I ask the question about who, when they say that they're attacking us, you say, who is us?
Yes.
Hello?
And our allies.
Hello?
Wait a minute. What they
Is this
mean when they say that
emergency?
they're attacking Americans
Yes.
is they mean
We've got incredible brain rot. I think the entire country has been infected with toxoplasmosis. How many camps could there be?
That's you.
Our embassy, our Marines,
yes,
our troops in Iraq,
foreign land, yes.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
We are America.
Yes.
We're a superpower. That's correct.
This continent
So when we
United States. That's what they don't
again?
mean. What they don't mean is anything in the homeland.
Because they can't.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We're not just in the homeland. We're a world power.
But Americans
we are
don't care about
competing with
that.
China.
That's
I'm
what I'm
telling
saying.
you, you don't care about it. America cares.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying the war is so unpopular. When you start saying that Iranians like bombed a base in the Middle East, Americans saying like, why do we even have that base?
That's not what I said.
No, not you, but when that was the argument for why we did this, when that was
That's not why we did it.
Hello?
That's
We
one
did
of
it
the
because
arguments,
they're
right?
a threat.
Wait a minute, let me just finish. When people say that, people are like, well, why do we have those bases? Or when they talk about individuals who have been killed,
We have the bases to protect our values and our economic interests.
Yes, Americans don't. I mean, it's clear that Americans don't care about that, right? They don't care about
If
this
they
foreign
don't,
stuff.
then they're stupid. And stupidity is not the rule.
And
You say Americans
You can't claim stupidity. Should have known the law.
gas prices were low
Hello?
before.
They were higher under Biden.
Hello? Hello? This is weird. History revisionism live.
The thing is here.
Projection says what?
Individuals who are non-military.
Projection says what?
Non-military individuals in the Middle East who have been killed by Iranians. Then they start naming people who have dual citizenship and live in the Middle East who got killed.
No,
And I'm
not at
sorry.
all. We're talking about the embassy.
And
We're talking about
they're
our Marines.
individuals. They're individuals. They're individuals as well.
No, Adam, you're telling lies now. I'm talking about
Individuals as well
Americans.
who've been killed. Yes,
I'm
agreeing
telling
with that.
lies.
I'm agreeing with the
Don't tell
bases.
lies.
I'm agreeing with the embassies. I'm agreeing with the embassies. All that stuff, right?
And the Marines and the servicemen in Iraq.
Yes.
They can't do
Americans
that.
aren't trying to go to war for that.
I beg your pardon? Well,
Americans
you're
aren't trying to go to war.
You're
for
not
that. I mean, it's very
America.
clear that most do not.
But neither are you.
The
Neither are
commander in
you.
chief made the decision.
Yes, and it's unpopular. It's
So
unpopular.
what? So what? Nobody
Well,
likes war.
We'll find out in
So
November.
do you think we have a
He's
representative?
not on the ballot, by the way. Just for a little update. Now, can we go
I
back
hope
to
so.
the
I
state
hope-
formula?
Well, no, we do. It is on the ballot, right? Because
No, he's not on the ballot.
you're not getting any pushback because Republicans control all chambers, right?
Right.
So once Democrats take over,
pushback.
there will be none of this because there will be major pushback because the other party is not going to give money for it. It will be over at that point.
Okay, the money is not really required. I would say, although
The
there was
big-
a recent request.
The
The money was spent years ago on our military.
I just wanted to make one final point. So another group of people who have
I
died
hope you see that
are
I
people.
disputed every one of your points successfully.
Fair, that's fine. People who are both who are dual citizen is Americans and Israelis who've been killed by
Who's a dual
Iran,
citizen?
right?
That's a
happened
weird
before, right?
anti-Semitic myth.
Wait, 1 second.
Who is a dual citizen?
Let me just finish.
Well, no, well, let's stop
let me just finish, Norm.
You meant to
Norm, let me
discuss-
just
Maybe you
finish.
should understand him
I
because you
haven't
don't
finished.
let him
I
finish a
understand.
sentence.
No, he's finished.
Let him
Norm, let me
finish.
finish. I'm not
I want to
finished.
learn about these dual citizens. Who are the
I'm
dual
not finished,
citizens?
Norm.
I know you're not finished.
They're individuals,
Stop for a second.
who live in Israel, they're individuals who have dual citizenship who live in Israel and they have been killed by Iran, right? In like those strikes they have. Americans are not moved by people who choose to live in dangerous places who are also Americans and die. That does not make them want to go to war. We had a kid who went to North Korea, right, on a trip. And I don't know what he did out there, but they sent him back in a body bag. And no Americans were talking about going to war because this American kid decided to go to North Korea and get himself killed. We are not interested in fighting. Like, this is not a gang, right? You are not a made man. This is not a gang. You go overseas to a dangerous place and you get killed. We're not riding for you for that. We're not. You chose to be in a dangerous place. You could have stayed your ass in the United States. You could have gone to any other place in the world that's not dangerous and not been killed. we're not normal Americans are not interested in fighting a war because you chose to go somewhere where people are killing each other.
You can express your opinion at the ballot box like everybody else. I get it. That's not the decision of the commander-in-chief.
But that's not the point that he was making. The point that he was making is that this is not a popular war. That's the point that he was making. We know that he's a commander-in-chief. No, that's actually not true. Americans have a history. Americans have a history of coming together when there is a war or a conflict. Why are they not doing that for this one?
Depends on the war. Some yes, some no. People were against World War II.
Why are they not doing that for this one?
Because people don't like war. People were against getting involved in World War II. We resisted it for years, probably to our detriment.
Until we were attacked.
And that was a mistake to wait that long because we could have made better progress and saved more lives.
Well, no, it was not no, that's wrong. It was a good idea to wait that long because it allowed the Germans to spend some of their energy.
Absolutely false.
I don't know that America wants to fight a fresh Germany. I don't know that we want to fight.
It wasn't a fresh Germany.
I don't know
Germany that took over Europe.
I don't know. No, what I'm saying is Americans would have been happier to fight a Germany that hadn't yet spent a bunch of its men in war. I think that's the intermediate point. They were kind of sucking weed.
Okay, you have a different opinion about the military. Fine.
Okay. Great.
Fine, so express a different opinion about the military. I would say it's an uninformed opinion. I'd say it's uneducated.
Okay. We're always uneducated.
Correct.
It only takes a few minutes for you to come to us being uneducated.
Who is us?
Caleb, L. Does anybody else want to add something to the conversation?
I think when we evaluate how effective this war was or wasn't, I mean, look, popular opinion, I do think there's the sense that after the debacles in the Middle East and Afghanistan and Iraq too, we don't have a stomach for this stuff. But also,
we don't have a stomach for war? You don't have a stomach for war.
But the question is that
war!
Have we made progress towards the nuclear materials? And then you open the can of the Strait of Hormuz.
Made progress? We've blown them to hell! And back! We've wiped out 200,000 soldiers and all their major military capability. And if they try to rebuild, we will do it again! Hello!
Which I don't know that we can
They're playing is using international order. I promise you, the world will not put up with it. Because there are other countries around the world, if they get away with it, then other countries will face this strait like Gibraltar and there's other straits over by Singapore. So we are, in case you guys didn't realize this, we have this all over the world.
Everything's great!
I share a little bit with Norm. I do think that there is a defense going on in America, American bases and personnel and things like that, and that's and we should.
Hello?
I'm not sure that this is
Hello? You? Hello? Hello?
Certainly, capabilities-wise, maybe at present diminished, but I think they've just been given the capability to post-JCPOA, which all those people hated in the first place. That's kind of my view at the moment.
Yeah, the Republicans give no reparations to black people, but $300 billion to Iranians in reparations. It's amazing.
That money would not come from us. Please don't read the MOU, which is non-binding.
Amazing.
What you're being amazed by is a fiction.
I'll just say I don't view Iran as a threat to America. Iran is a threat.
Well, then you're not then you don't
Iran,
know.
Iran is a threat.
You don't know reality.
It's not a threat to America.
So Iran has been saying for 50 years, death to America, death to
Yes,
America.
America's super strong. I'm not worried about it.
Yes. Well, then you should be, because they're getting stronger, and what we don't want is another North Korea. Now, if you don't realize that yours left, not America's.
I'm sorry, say that again? Say that again? Say that again?
I said that we don't want another North Korea, and if you don't see that, that is your lack, not America's.
How have I been negatively impacted by North Korea?
Very, very, very close-minded. So
I'm just asking, can you answer me?
He's answering your question. So, yeah, I'm trying to. So, what Obama's advice was to Trump when they changed administration, the greatest threat to the world right now is North Korea. Because they are a nuclear power that wants to dominate the region and the world, they are perhaps the most unpredictable threat to the United States on the planet as of right now. And we can go into all the details as to what. Now, again, if you don't understand geopolitics, then maybe you should sit out. Now, you may have something you want.
He asked you a very simple question.
And I gave it to you. And I gave it to you. Welcome to
It was a generic answer.
But if you want something for the government, and somehow think that you're like reparations, and if you think that you're trading this thing that you want for the government, from the government, for the defense of America, it's two different battles.
I don't actually want reparation. I just thought it was a funny thing to say. But
I didn't realize you were kidding.
You haven't answered how I have been negatively impacted by North Korea having a nuclear. What has happened
talking
since?
About America, I can't speak to you.
How have American citizens, normal Americans, been impacted negatively? What has changed since North Korea got a nuke? What has changed specifically for Americans living in America? Please explain.
The threat of nuclear Armageddon from a rogue and unpredictable state.
So they've nuked us?
Can I ask a question? Wait. Can I ask?
Okay, you don't understand what the word
Hold on, Norm. Can I ask you? I want to ask you a very sincere question. I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna take my breath.
Questions rather than finishing any one time.
I'm gonna take a breath, and I'm gonna ask you a very sincere question.
So, by the way, America is within striking distance of Pyongyang. Now, if you don't see that as a threat, America does. It's your lack to not see North Korea as the threat that it is.
Okay, can I ask you a question now?
Now let's change topics.
Do you think that America threatens other countries? What do you think about we're gonna take Canada as the 51st state? We're gonna seize Denmark. We're gonna seize whatever. But how do you? No, Greenland. How do you think about that? How do you think about that and how that presents us to the rest of the world? So the rest of the world should ignore it?
Well, we're not going to do it, so it's just...
The question I'm asking is, should the rest of the world ignore it?
I can't tell the rest of the world what to do. It's silliness, it's bloviating, it ain't going to happen. It's Trump talking nonsense.
So, no, because you're saying when these countries say death to America, that we should be panicked, right? That was one of the things that you said.
No, not panicked. We should take them seriously.
We should take them seriously, but they shouldn't take us seriously when we say things like we're gonna wipe a civilization off the face of the earth.
So the difference is that Iran has nuclear weapons.
We have nuclear weapons. So when we say we're going to take Greenland, when we say we're going to do that, I'm not letting you change the subject.
Hang on, you're not going to let me, or not let me do anything, in fact. So, yes, we're not attacking other nations. We're not threatening with nuclear weapons, and we have not been killing Americans for 47 years. That's the difference.
If you don't take the threat of Iran seriously,
That's not what I asked you.
privilege.
That is not what I asked you. What I asked you, that's not what I asked you. What I asked you is, should the rest of the world take our threats seriously? That's my question.
And what did I say? Did you listen? I do want to hear from
So
you.
shy, go ahead.
Hang on, I want to finish one conversation before we keep skipping around.
We're not, I mean, you're not engaging. I asked you.
I am.
So
What did I say to you?
You just said it's bloviating. I asked you, should they take us seriously when we say things like that?
What do you
Should
think?
they care?
What do you think?
Should they care? I know what I think. I was asking you what you think. Because I'm trying to find a consistent arc through what your arguments are. So you say, when they say something, we have to take it seriously.
So, Denise,
We have to
breaking news for you, Denise.
Oh my God.
You're an American. I'm an American. So yes, threats to America, bad. Is that easy enough for you?
That's not what I said. See, you're actually engaging with a point that I didn't make.
No, I'm not. I'm making
Listen to me.
I'm not engaging with the point.
Listen to the point that I'm making.
You.
You're not enlightening me of anything. You are inconsistent in your philosophy.
No, I'm America focused.
They should be held accountable.
Bad.
And I think threats to Denmark is bad. Then threats to Greenland is bad.
Is it
threats
credible?
to Canada is bad. And guess what? They say that too. But what I'm saying is,
Okay, fine.
What I'm saying to you is that it's bizarre that you only consider that you have you have nothing to say about the threat that we represent, the instability that we represent.
No, we represent stability. It's the opposite.
The Strait of Hormuz is closed. We don't represent stability.
It's closed by pirates. Eventually, we will introduce.
Go ahead, Shai. Go ahead, Shai.
Okay, so you're not the one that's not engaging, not me.
No, we just disagree. I'm not.
Cougar!
Back and forth.
This is weird.
My point to you.
think Iran is pirates or not?
My point to you is you have not answered my question.
Hello?
And that's what I wanted to understand.
Let's hear it one last time.
I don't know because
what does Europe think of us? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say. I literally just asked a very simple question.
Yeah.
Should we be held accountable for what our leadership says? Does that diminish how we are perceived in the world? That's it.
They held us accountable.
That was the answer. So that you answered my question. That's it.
Kill their people.
Shai, go.
So they don't have nuclear weapons, which we're going to attack them with. And by the way, we're not going to attack them with nuclear weapons. Iran is, and they've said it many times. So a nuclear threat from Iran or North Korea, not Iran, the Islamic Revolutionary Genocide Corps. They're committing genocide all over the world. It's another reason for us to stop them, by the way. So a credible nuclear threat from an apocalyptic enemy is not the same as El Trumpo from Queens bloviating, saying, we will take Canada.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't care if Iran kills
people.
I don't care at all.
They don't even get mentioned in the same breath. And
Shai.
it's not serious to
Okay,
ask that
great.
question.
Heard you.
Shai,
go ahead.
It's not serious to ask that question, Denise.
Okay, Shai, go ahead.
Thank you. As far as anything else, as far as like answering the questions go, I looked it up, and the Straits of Hormuz are, as of today, open, but they have restrictions because of restrictions by the government, the current government of Iran.
So they're not
and as far as Trump goes, I personally agree with you, Denise. I do not think that the President of the United States should be bloviating without cause, right? That they should, have the higher standard and be representing.
I agree with that too. I think he should not be bloviating. So I'm on board with that.
Representing America in a better light. With that said, I do not believe that past presidents have set such an example, right? They set a better example for as far as American leadership went, because they represented themselves and the country in a better light than the current person sitting in the White House, in my opinion, right? That's my opinion as a citizen. And I think that we in America have to understand that that other people around the world do not play by the same morals and rules that we play by, right? They are not consistent in their morality or their philosophies. Because it is about the desire of many of the individuals who run those countries, how they view the world should work, right? And all of it is, right? Even America, even our systems of equality and our morality, all of those things are by our national ethos, our philosophies, and our desire. Right? There's nothing that says in the world before America took control of this, before World War II, was a world of chaos. It was a world of extremes. It was a world of death and destruction that people really don't remember anymore because we've lived in such a stable world. And sometimes a little bit of chaos is what you needed in order to create this type of stability. Right? So we can sit here on our phones and contemplate and pontificate and talk about and philosophize about our moralities and consistencies and inconsistencies and those sorts of things. So we don't have to worry about surviving every day like some people do in some countries where they have massive instability. And not created by us, but created by them and their own inconsistent moralities. That's all I would know.
I mean, if you have any doubt about American power, look at the difference between our ally, South Korea, and our enemy, North Korea. One is a dystopian, a nightmare with nuclear weapons threatening the world, and the other is a great ally that produces wonderful electronic goods, and if we work together with it, it grows the world's economy and everybody benefits. The same thing with Japan. The same thing with Europe, which we built. We reduced Japan and Europe to ashes in World War II because they were genocidal maniacs, and then we reduced them into our partners. That's the American way.
I don't really care about the internal politics of Iran, who's running it, who's getting killed by what faction in charge.
The thing to worry about is their nuclear threat. That's the thing to worry about. We don't care about their internal politics either. We're allies with Saudi Arabia. We need their oil. They're a totalitarian monarchy, but we need their oil, so we're buddies with them. The problem is, the difference is, Saudi Arabia doesn't threaten us.
Didn't Trump say that last year? Didn't Trump say last year that we'd already destroyed the nuclear program?
I think he used the word obliterate.
Obliterated, yes, obliterated. So there's no nuclear concern, according to him. There was no nuclear concern for this.
Not true. Not true.
He said that they were. So was he lying then, or is he lying now?
Do you care? You don't believe anything he says. So why?
I'm curious. What do you think? I'm curious. What do you think? Do you think he's lying?
I think he exaggerates the bullshit. Don't you think that's true? Disagree, Adam?
Yes, I disagree.
Okay, so tell me express what I said to me.
I don't think it was his exaggeration. I think he was just lying at some point. I can't pinpoint.
Well, we obliterated some of it. Right? That's undeniable. We used B-12 bombers to smash their program. I think we covered other sites, and I think they rebuilt it somewhat. We realize that they are apocalyptic, and no, we are not apocalyptic. We've created a safe and free world, and Iran wants to take that world down and either bring about the 12th Mahdi, if you study their theology, or else conquer everybody, including they're studying Arabs. Say again?
Eschatology.
I don't care if they want to conquer Sunni Arabs. I don't give a shit about that.
Well, you should. You should, because that affects us. Because then we don't get the oil, and then we're living in a different world.
Well, the problem, I think part of the problem...
It's funny, because I know Adam for sure takes the opposite position when it comes to Russia. He's like a hawk when it comes to Ukraine, but Trump is going against Iran. He doesn't care about intervention.
No, I was Ukraine hawk as well.
Russia.
Spending money, we gave Ukraine a lot of money.
Yeah, sending jump weapons, not our latest and greatest weapons. Absolutely.
Well, we've invested billions of bucks.
It's just they're free for all yelling at each other.
Yeah, let's try to have one, Mike.
You're a hypocrite.
I just wanted to interject
No personal attacks.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I think one of the problems a lot of Westerners have, or a lot of Americans have, because we have such a individualistic reality where we we also have like free, for the most part, free and legal elections and things like this, right? Is that we, and also our religions are sort of individualistic. You can do this, you can do that, you can choose to do this and choose to do that. We aren't run by a theocracy because we kind of believe that other people in other countries and other cultures that they believe like we do that their religion is individualistic and not really going to affect the world over, right? When they say that, like when people like the guy, the Ayatollah, says that he wants the Mufti or whatever, the Mahdi to come, they like truly mean it. They are worse in many ways than the Christian nationalists or evangelical, highly evangelical Christians who want, Jesus to return because they are willing to blow up the world in order to do it. And we just don't take into consideration. We don't think that they mean it when they say it. We don't think that it's real because we just think it's magic, right? They believe it's magic. No, they actually believe it's real, and they believe it's more real than we believe each other are real, than we believe that the Constitution is real. And that is actually quite frightening when you actually study what they believe and you think about it. And as far as like the Constitution of the United States.
I think you said Israel.
No, the Constitution of.
Oh, he said it is real. I just.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm like, they don't have a constitution.
Yeah, a lot of Americans do not believe that the United States Constitution is either real or applies to them or is applied to the state. They believe that people just sort of make whatever they want to make up. And I believe that part is like sort of right because that is part of the national ethos that we have. A lot of Americans don't even believe that it should be valid, right? Which, but certain people believe that their religious eschatological realities are going to come true today, this very second. And as far as like direct threats from North Korea go, and other people that have such nuclear weapons or deterrents, like those cause America. I'm part of that reality is it cause Americans to spend more tax dollars in national defense and also other deterrents. So the bigger weapons they have and build, the bigger weapons that we need to have and build, because in many of these places, not every single one, many of them are direct threats to us as we feel that Trump might be a direct threat to others, and that costs taxpayers dollars and affects like the global economy from.
I mean, a big difference is North Korea is not suicidal. Iran is suicidal. Their ideology is spelled out. They are a vicious, terroristic, murderous regime, murdering their own people and murdering their neighbors. Not just Israel. They're responsible for 350,000 dead black Sunni Arabs in Yemen. They're responsible for 650,000 dead. Well, you should. It's very flawless in you're not to care about Yemen. And the 650,000
also
dead
morally
Sunni Arabs.
inconsistent. It's also morally inconsistent.
How is it morally inconsistent?
Is it Isaiah? No,
Yes, it is. It is him.
Hey!
How is it morally inconsistent?
Hi!
No, because you care about everything else America does.
I care about America. I don't care about.
Well, but then.
I don't care about the old world.
Yeah, but it's like others
You're not really.
Listen.
You don't understand
There's a lot. There are genocides in Africa. I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about India and Pakistan going at each other. I don't care about India and China fighting over borders.
Okay, we get it. You don't care about that. That's very close-minded.
And I don't give a shit about systemic racism against black people.
That's fine.
Well,
That's
don't
fine.
say that. That's not.
Well, how is that any different
That's
than what
fine.
you're saying?
That's fine. You don't have to. I'm not asking.
You're escalating the rudeness.
He's not
You
sure
escalate the rudeness. Huh?
I'm not asking you to care though. I'm not asking you to care.
But both of those statements are short-sighted.
But in order for me to care, if he cares, I would have to ascribe some sort of power or something. But like he doesn't have any impact on my life, so why does it matter to me if he cares about systemic racism?
We're making philosophical points. It's not a question of whether he can affect civil rights or something. We're talking about our value. And our value is we are the world one superpower. And we want to defend that in order to be able to defend the things we hold dear. Otherwise, we might be speaking German.
I thought we were
trying to do America's police. I thought that was the world's police. The world's police. Sorry, I thought we were not trying to do that. We're not trying to do what anymore? Be the world's police.
No, we really shouldn't be.
We're not.
We have to be.
I thought that's what. I thought that's what. I know the neocons want us to be that way, but I thought that's
Not
what.
the neocons.
I thought that's what
we
Trumpism
are.
was.
How can we not be?
No, we really.
Wait, didn't he say no new wars?
That's what I thought.
Forever.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
War is going on. This whole, I mean, we're at the beginning of
You
everything.
can laugh as nervously as you need to. The facts are very important.
And you'll tell us that Kamala was going to be the one to start a war with Iran?
No,
They said vote for Kamala and you'll get a war with Iran. And now we're in a war with Iran.
But was that the Republicans or the leftists?
No. Trump said, I'm going to find the tweet and I'm going to post it.
Oh.
Wait.
We'll say anything.
But Trump didn't say no new wars as he ran for office?
Forever war.
No.
Yeah.
Please.
Go find it.
You go find it. You go find it. I don't work for you. You're not being honest. He literally said it on the campaign trail dozens of times. He said no new wars.
Forever war.
Oh.
But it doesn't matter. No president ever could say that we will never have another war. And that sort of like isolationism and this idea that we shouldn't engage in wars with other entities because we just don't want to. It's kind of lazy thinking. Because
Well, that's a fine position. That is a appropriate position. Wait, hold on. No. I think what you just said is an absolutely appropriate thing to say, but that's not what he said. And I think that is the thing that is troubling me. Is that's the revisionist part of this. That's not what he said he was going to do.
What do you care?
That is not what he said he was going to do. And so people voted for him based on what he said he was going to do. And this is something he emphatically said over and over again that he was not going to do. And now we're revising history to say, no, he didn't really say that. That's not what he really meant. And we shouldn't listen to him.
And you don't believe a word out of his mouth, then why do you care whether he told the truth?
You just said that he doesn't tell the truth. He bloviates. Wasn't that your euphemism? Is that telling the truth, Norm?
Is what? Bloviating?
Is bloviating telling the truth?
It's political hyperbole. I'm not saying he tells the truth. I'm not saying he tells the truth.
I think this is actually what Bill Maher brought this up like a few weeks ago when he said basically that.
Okay, boomer Bill Maher.
Yeah, I like Bill Maher. I like that.
Well, people like him.
I like
He's
him.
an important voice right now.
He said, that there's this group of people that feel betrayed because they were like, no new wars, right? No, we're not doing this. And he calls them MAGA classic, right? Or Marjorie Taylor Greene now would say she's not MAGA, she's America first. And then this other group of people that are like, well, yeah, he said that, but Trump knows it all, and if he says it's okay, it's like, that's kind of J.D. Vance, right? I mean, Vance would say, the difference between this war in Iraq and Afghanistan and everything is when Trump just knows what he's doing, not like all these other people, right? I mean, so there is this rift right now, right, where some people are just like, well, we know he said this, but he's Trump and he just knows what's best. Go with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an isolationist. My view is that if America is attacked, and by America I mean the 50 states of America on the mainland, I'm not talking about no fucking embassy, who gives a fuck. But if the continent is attacked, then America should defend itself. In terms of wars of choice, no, we shouldn't do that shit. In terms of preemptive strikes, which is what this was, no, we shouldn't do that either. It's a waste of money.
It's not a waste of money. It's militarily, it makes sense. Now, you can disagree, but you're not informed really militarily the way the president is.
I mean, he's not informed about anything. That's why there's no plan. That's why it's so clear there's no plan. He was like, who could have known we were going to shut down the streets? Who could have known the streets were going to get shut down?
began planning this war 47 years ago, actually.
They didn't. The problem, yes, the Pentagon knew it. The problem is the Pentagon didn't make their plan into a cartoon for Trump to be able to see it. So he didn't read it, so he didn't know.
Now you're just making a personal attack. You're not advancing the conversation. I have the quotes from Trump. Here's two of them. First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. This is from Trump.
Here's another one on CNN. I didn't promise anything. I don't
You
like.
gotta get this stuff. This is after the fact.
I don't like. Hang on. I said I don't like these endless wars. This is not an endless war. Doesn't that sound more like Trump?
Can you get the quotes from before, like during the campaign cycle?
He's not serious.
But I've done.
Adam, he doesn't mean it. He's not curious about this. There's literally a million. There's a million clips of this.
I'm curious as to your delusion. I find it fascinating.
My delusion that he did not. My delusion that he said no new wars.
No, your delusion.
That's my delusion.
You don't understand the need for us to project.
I didn't say that. I never said that.
You do understand.
I literally never said that.
You do understand.
Adam and I are different people, and I have not said anything to that effect.
No, you do. Then you agree.
I asked you a very specific question.
Now you're going backwards. What question did you ask? You're all over the place today.
I'm not all over the place. You are. Just don't put words in my mouth. I never said anything to that
I didn't say you said it. I said you don't understand the need for us.
Right. You're always very clear on what the rest of us don't understand.
Well, do you understand that?
Derisive, Monica, did y'all want to add something to the conversation?
Wait. I don't want to.
Let's let other people have some space on the stage. It's okay to share some room on the stage and let other people talk. Go ahead,
I really want to get out of this.
I'm out of it. I'm absolutely out of it. I'm already out of it. I know that I heard him say dozens of times.
And I know that based on what
you pulling up some clips of what he says when he challenged on what he said. See, the difference is I don't have to prove anything to you. I don't work for you.
Okay, and I don't
So I don't have to prove anything to you. If you want to look up, you have the same Google machine that I have. Look up clips that he said no new wars, and you didn't find any. You looked up where he said no new wars. You looked it up and you didn't find any. Okay. So we're not on the same plane. So derisive, Monica, feel free to.
Right. So the point I was making is, based on your comment.
Norm, let other people talk.
When I'm finished.
No, you're finished. Let other people talk. I'm shutting up, you shut up.
No. So I'm going to finish my thought. You're not going to keep interrupting me. So I take that. Based on your comment,
You're being a dictatorial Iranian right now.
you don't understand that. Well, stop interrupting me then. You don't understand the need for America to protect our values by projecting military force. That's what I said you don't understand based on your comments. Now, if I'm wrong about that, you can say,
Let's not throw mines down, by the way. Let's not do that.
Okay,
We're
all
not
right.
doing that. We're not doing that.
Okay.
We're just to me, just come back up.
Come back up.
I'm in and out, but like, this is not, we're not gonna do that.
Who wanted to go next?
I will, if I may, say something. You know, politics are very complicated, right? And I think I think that this election cycle should show all Americans that we should be engaged in the character of the candidate that's running for president, right? We should look at his character, what they say, if they stand by their word, if they have a particular sense of morality that is aligned with the values and the ideas of America, that they stand, by their values and character. To dealing with internal politics, American politics, and the politics between the United States and other nations are just two different things, right? It's two different realities and two different skill sets. And sometimes they intersect, and sometimes they don't intersect. They're completely separate. But America and Americans should be interested in maintaining a good sense of order internally and externally, because that does affect the world's economy. It affects America's economy. It affects our jobs. It affects our oil. It affects how we interact with the rest of the world. And I think that whoever the next president is, those things should be taken into account by all Americans.
anxiety provoking that we have to defend our values militarily sometimes, but it's also necessary. In fact, it has been necessary for a long time to remove the threat from the Islamic Revolutionary Genocide Corps. It should have been done long ago, and we blew it. I'm not blaming necessarily, but I mean, Jimmy Carter, let's face it, he screwed up. It was a screw up. And us believing the Ayatollah Khomeini, his name should be blotted out, was a mistake on our part. I'll tell you what, I believed him in 1979 too. I was wrong. But we have to learn from our mistakes. And part of that means, once again, asserting, by the way, I was going to say for the 10th time, asserting our values, sometimes militarily. So, there are two defenders of the freedom of the waterways. Does anybody know what they are? Traditionally, they were the British Empire and more recently, America. Those are the only two people who could do it. And presumably, or hopefully, the other European allies will join us, as Italy has sent a minesweeper to the Strait of Hormuz, and France has sent an aircraft carrier over there, and England has quietly allowed us to use their bases. This is stuff that needs to be done. Turkey is rising too. We're going to have to deal with Turkey also. And when somebody said that the Strait of Hormuz was open before it is closed now, well, Trump got it open diplomatically. You should give him credit for that, rather than having to put American troops on the ground. Say again? He didn't spill the milk. The IRGC spilled the milk. What's that? The IRGC spilled the milk. We didn't tell them to close the Strait of Hormuz.
You attacked them.
Yeah, of course we attacked them.
Well, of course
they're a horrible... What's that?
Well, of course they closed the strait.
Well, I don't know why you say of course.
Because I mean, of course they're pirates. It only makes sense to do. You can't
well, it's like saying it makes sense to go rob the store. Sure, then when you get shot, that makes sense too.
Well, no, that's not part of the defense, though.
Yes. They were sponsoring terror proxies this whole time. That's an offense. They were developing nukes the whole time. That's an offense.
They weren't developing nukes under the JCPOA. They really started.
Yeah, they were actually. They were actually. We blew it up after Incorrect. So we discovered that they'd been cheating the whole time in 2018. Before we tore up the JCPOA, we discovered their secret nuclear sites. What?
Contracts in the same way that the contracts in the same way that we do, and there's no real court to take them to. When you're going to take them to the International Court of Justice. It's the last person they arrested in November, right? So
the Judge Judy.
Yeah, there's no way to enforce those contracts. So when America or other countries engage in treaties and contracts with other countries, we just sort of take their word and that they're going to adhere to them. And it's not always guaranteed that it will be true. And the same for us, right? A lot of it is word for word by the leaders and the systems of those countries.
By the way, we caught them cheating. Never mind the sponsor of terror proxies and the ballistic missiles, which they were doing under the JCPOA, but we caught them cheating. And not only that, they signed nuclear non-proliferation treaties, and they broke that too. That before, during, and after the JCPOA. So it was just a bad deal.
Iran has to have ballistic missiles. You can't tell them that they can't have ballistic missiles, and Saudi Arabia has them.
Why not?
I don't know. That's what Trump said, though.
I know. Well, Trump says a lot of nonsense. I'm not. We think I'm going to defend all the stuff that comes out of his mouth. The interesting thing. Why are you laughing?
It's just a very funny thing. It's very stupid.
Well, it's honest though. Huh? You can stay unmuted. It's very honest.
I just thought it was really stupid. And
I thought that people put their faith in Trump for that exactly.
I don't put my faith in Trump.
I didn't say you did. I said the people that did put their faith in Trump, they got exactly what they deserve.
Some people did, yeah. Oh, I thought you said the people who put their faith in Trump believe everything he says. See, I mean, you'd be crazy to put all your faith in Trump. He happens to be the man who's in this position doing what needs to be done in this moment. Clumsily, ignorantly, weirdly, using his guns instincts instead of using the traditional instruments of government to his own enormous gain, apparently, based on the $2 billion that he seems to have accumulated in the past year from crypto. God only knows. But we needed somebody to do the things that he's doing in order to buttress our American power, which we use to defend our values, our remarkable prosperity. The prosperity that has given you, Adam, I'll call you Adam because I don't want to, whatever, call you, unless you want me to, which has created the beautiful lives, Baruch Hashem, that you enjoy, Adam, and that I enjoy, that Derisa, that Scott, and Shai, and Grace enjoy. There's an ugly, and Monica, and all the people in the audience, there's an ugly side to this. And the ugly side is that sometimes there's going to be a Vietnam, or a South Korea, or a Venezuela, which was a very subversive force in this hemisphere. And we're going to go after Cuba next. I have every expectation.
I think people also don't realize or respect the idea that before 100 years ago, World War I, like all of these empires, before the most of them became states, they were all vying for, they were all looking for the ability to control everything that America sort of won out and controlled, and they do not really, I mean, it would have been much worse, the world would have been a much worse place. It's already bad enough, but yeah, I don't think anybody would have really wanted, you know, Turkey and the Ottoman Empire to control all of the waterways, or China or Russia to control like the flow of global energy and the global economy.
Can you imagine that world, Sean?
I no.
And by the way, we're not far away. There's certainly a risk. Like Germany did very well in World War II, and the Soviet Union did very well in the Cold War. So I mean, we've been very fortunate, and I think I'm a little older than some of the people in this room. So during my lifetime, Vietnam notwithstanding, and Israel's various wars notwithstanding, we have largely been asleep. We've been enjoying a kind of it's like a vacation. We haven't been drafted. We haven't had to go fight. We've had prosperity. We're doing a little better than our parents, presumably, a lot better than our grandparents. We have a couple of cars. We have a couple of houses, one or maybe two. We send our kids to city colleges where they have climbing walls and gluten-free meals. I mean, we're like one of the most prosperous nations, certainly of our size, the most democratic.
Yeah, we live a pretty luxury life, and even people who don't live in first world America kind of, they also kind of live in a first class life, like maybe, you know, whatever, but Americans definitely. And we make sure that. Go ahead.
I wanted you to go ahead because I know I talk. Even working class people have lead lives of relative luxury. Even the poor in our country, which are vanishing, live better lives than people in most other countries. If you leave out, for example, Europe.
Should run on this.
Huh? Well, he's not going to run anymore, presumably. I mean, I would
think
think
should be the Republicans' midterm strategies talking about how great everybody right now.
I think the strategy is going to be Democrats are crazy.
Yeah, we have our problems in 2026, but in like 1906, 14-year-olds were being drafted to fight in wars, so.
Were they in this country?
No, not in America, but in like Russia.
I mean, Iran is taking 12-year-olds into the army now, so does Hamas. And then they say we're killing kids.
I know that some 16-year-olds signed up during World War I.
Oh yeah, probably World War 17 for sure. You get these stories all the time that they lied.
Yeah.
idea. I mean, my first wife's parents got married at the age of 18 and went off, and then her dad went off to war to be a navigator in World War II. 18, off to war. Wife is home pregnant, and there was no material for a wedding dress. So I said, why? Because they sent all the wedding dresses to the front, all the GIs were wearing, white wedding dresses when they were fighting in the trenches. But I think they used the material for parachutes, actually.
I think about it, just 100 years ago, 16, 17 were off to war, and in 2026 we were, I was having a ridiculous conversation with people who believe that the age of consent should be 22, sexual consent limit, yeah. Maybe this luxury lifestyle has sort of created a failure to much.
Oh, I think so. I think this whole generation Z is having difficulty launching.
Badly. It's just impressive. I mean, they're just hanging in there.
Any experience of this, Grace, without going into detail?
Well, I have a Gen Zer. I call her right now.
Yeah.
And thank God she's not like the rest, and she's, employed now until she graduates and always has been, but I don't see a lot of her friends doing that. I think that they're saying, oh, when I get out of college, I'm going to travel. I want to make sure that, I'm going to get a good job after I travel. I mean, these are bubble moments, I call them, like on their heads. And it's very difficult. I'm watching her friends and I'm thinking to myself, like, even a part-time job, I don't care if you stay for a year and you're looking good, come on and launch.
Another thing, 100 years ago, they were fighting for stability, and now they're fighting for instability.
Right.
What does that mean?
I mean, they were fighting wars for global stability 100 years ago, right? And then World War I, World War whatever. And now you have Gen Z who are like, we need to have basically anarchy. We need to reverse the control of anything that we have actual control over. And right in many ways, at least to my observation, there's a fight to destabilize the stabilized world that we have.
So who's more anti-Semitic, the left or the right? Or did we cover that more than amply?
I mean, Tucker is pretty. I mean, he's gonna be himself.
He's a psychopath.
Exactly. Yeah, there's nothing else to call him.
And I feel badly that I once thought that he was a decent broadcaster. I did. I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong and when I've misread something because I want to fix that. I want to see things clearly. And I think this is one of the great superpowers of Israel, is that it doesn't lose a war and then say it won. And it doesn't make a mistake and say, well, everything is fine. And, whatever, Am Yisrael Chai. They say, in the case of, say, Gaza, they say, we had a philosophy, we had a strategy of deterrence, and it didn't work. They were undeterred. And so now, if they make a threat, and they have the ability to carry out that threat, we're going to remove the threat. And that's what you're seeing happen. That's what other people are calling genocide, which is what it isn't, because we're doing everything we can to keep the combatants alive, which many non-combatants as there are, they're kind of hard to find because the terrorists deliberately blend in with the population. So it's sure.
Tucker is, well, the left and the right have different standards for anti-Semitism, but I like to think calling Tucker an anti-Semite puts his perspective in, puts his ideology in perspective, because at the end of the day, he's just anti-Western at this point. Like, he's looking for the downfall of America as a global hegemon, and, you know, Israel goes down along with America and his worldview.
Leanne, why don't you ask Normo, the question instead of just making you say, I highly doubt Normo is America first. Why don't you come up and ask him that question?
I mean, I'm from New York, yeah. It's more America than New York. New York is like the digitalization of America. It's like
Manhattan, Kansas. Manhattan, Kansas.
Don't forget, Leanne, we're the ones that the World Trade Center bombing by the Arab Al-Qaeda terrorists on September 11th. That was walking distance from my house. I watched it happen in real time in the real world, standing at the end of my block. That's the America that I live in.
She's asking, why do you say we when speaking for Israel?
Because I'm a Jew. And Israel is the Jewish homeland, the Jewish refuge. They are my brothers and sisters. I am part of something called the Am. 2 little letters. It means community, tribe, family, nation, land, with a language, with customs, with a founding document, the Torah, with a language, Hebrew, with a tradition, with a history. I mean, that's why, because I'm part of that. It's weird. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of envy that you don't feel like you're part of something like that. I don't know what to tell you, but if you want to be an FOJ, a friend of the Jews, then come aboard.
Leanne, why are you saying that there's no distinction between government and its people? Carry on, Alan. I just wanted to...
Well, that's good because you're providing prompts, like in a creative writing class or in a college class or something. So is there any, you know what I missed yesterday? This is how out of touch I am sometimes with local. I completely missed the Empire State Building thing yesterday because it was all over, and in one of the rooms, one of the people said, you turn on your television to see what's going on.
Well, they're in a lot of trouble now.
That's right. Oh, you don't know this guy? No. So 2 wackos, I think they are of Russian origin now in this country. They climbed to the top of the spire, the antenna on the Empire State Building. Oh, wow.
And they stay there a significant amount of time, too.
And he proposed.
Okay, yeah, so I saw that, but I didn't know exactly what it was. I didn't actually read. I wasn't invested enough to read it. I just
It gives me vertigo just watching the thing on television.
We watched it.
You watch it on TV?
Yeah, I watched it on TV.
It's unbelievable. And apparently they do this a lot. They climb to these really crazy, outrageous, like cranes and other buildings. I mean, how'd they get up there? And they have a Netflix series. I guess you know this.
That's correct.
Or like extreme climbers or something.
They're extreme in a lot of things, yes. Yeah, Momo wants to come up, and I just don't know him, so if anyone wants to bring him up.
I did.
Momo.
Why do you always? No, that's only WhatsApp. I don't want to talk to you. Why do you always?
But you're here to talk to me. But you're here to talk to me. That's why you're here.
I don't know. No, I don't want to know how you're going. I don't want to know anything about you.
I didn't ask you. I asked you how you're doing. I didn't tell you to ask me how I'm doing.
No, don't ask me. You don't.
I'll ask you anything I want. God bless America.
Egyptian.
I don't walk like an Egyptian.
Okay, just wait. Why do you always? Are you a Mossad agent?
Yes.
Main
scheme. Huh? What?
How much do they pay you? How much do they pay you?
They pay me 4 shekels a week.
So you're.
I'm a low poor man. I'm a poor man, exactly. I'm a broke Mossad agent.
Okay, just try to discuss other things. Don't come here every day speaking about Israel, talking about.
I'll talk about anything I want. I'll talk about anything I want. Even with a demon like you. What's that?
Speak about sports, for example, about the World Cup.
I talk about
China.
I speak about China.
Like this, you're showing us that you're a Mossad agent because you come here every day defending the same issues.
I am a Mossad agent. By the way, what's your paper number?
Okay, but like this, everyone will be aware of you. Everyone will be aware of you, and this is going to be a disaster for you. So I'm advising you.
Disaster for me. Momo, what's your point? Do a favor. I'm going to ask you a question. Momo, do me a favor. I know
I will report your account. I will report your account.
No, please don't.
I'll report your account.
Please don't. Don't tell everybody that I'm a Mossad agent. It's a secret.
You're debunking yourself. You're debunking yourself.
I am? I'm debunking?
Yes, every day, 24 hours a day on the application, in many rooms defending your demonic state.
Yeah, but you're the demon. Israel is a...
defend Egypt or Syria?
Yeah, Muslim Brotherhood.
Talking to him.
Don't be rude. Don't use a vulgar potty mouth, please.
No, I'm advising you to be a successful Mossad agent. I'm advising you.
Okay, what should I do? What should I do?
I'm advising you.
What should I
Try
do?
to discuss different things. Discuss different things.
What would you like to talk about? Who do you like in FIFA?
I'm not gonna talk to you about anything. Just a little advice.
So you're not equal to discuss anything. You don't want to do it?
We're not morally equal. We're not morally equal to discuss anything. You're not like
no, I'm morally
superior
to you, but I'll talk to you anyway.
People like me will never talk to people like you. Just like
you're talking to me now.
So we will never
talking to me. No. But you've been talking to me now.
Just a little advice.
Okay.
I just wanted to debunk you in front of everyone.
Okay. Wallahi.
I like just to debunk him in front of everyone. That's all. Everyone is aware of you. Fuck Israel.
That's right. Thank you for visiting. Hello.
Stalking revelation. Norm. I didn't realize you were like talking Gaza.
Could you imagine somebody like that controlled the Suez Canal or the Red Sea?
Can you believe it? So, right, if you're not going to tell anybody about my sidekick, right?
Well, the highest order to me is the truth. Everyone knows now Norm is an intelligence asset.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'm an ass.
Yes, I was concerned. I was concerned.
I mean, some people may think that. I'm sure my wife or my girlfriend have occasionally thought that. I don't know what women think about to tell you the truth. They get exasperated.
Very easily.
Now, gentlemen.
Sorry. I mean, we're mocking ourselves. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get into the thick of gender relations. So I'm just trying to keep the convo going.
Hey, good.
I feel like the most pure, unadulterated Jew haters on this app tend to be Egyptian. I don't know why more than any other nationality.
It's because Mein Kampf is the second most popular book in Egypt.
Okay. Or is Mein Kampf the second most popular book in Egypt because there's a lot of Jew haters?
Yes.
competition is fierce for the worst Jew hater.
Why is it though that the nations where the governments seem to be the most friendly among the Arab or Middle Eastern nations seem to have the most Jew-hating population, and the governments that are most hostile to Israel, their people tend to be the most Jew-neutral or positive people in the Middle East?
Well, that's certainly true with, say, for example, say Saudi and Iran. Right. Yeah. But I don't know if it's a rule. That might be coincidence. I think governments will use bigotry, racism, homophobia, anti-Semitism as ways of controlling the population by triggering their passions. So I'll give you an example. Trump used immigration as maybe his prime issue for running. Now, we did have a problem with immigration, but he also used it, and you guys are going to forgive me, but I'm going to trigger now, in a Hitlerian way. Fear of the outsider. Oh, the Mexicans and the Haitians, they're eating your dogs and your cats, and they're coming to your schools and all this kind of stuff. He did that. And now he's going to use, I promise you there'll be trans on the campaign trail coming up for the next election. So they're using homophobia and xenophobia as methods of controlling the population. And when the citizens revolt, as they're doing in the IRGC, then they just don't buy anything the government is saying, and they do exactly the opposite of what the government says. So the Islamic State is saying hate the Jews, and the people are saying we don't hate the Jews, actually. As they said in Farsi, which means take this Palestinian flag and shove it up your bum. That's what they think. It's a soccer game. Thank you, sir. Usually it's Iranian people who laugh at that. I don't want to be the only one running the room. Does anybody want to take it, want to bring up something, or take it in a different direction?
I just want to say, I think that the countries near to Israel, like Muslim countries next to Israel, like Egypt and Jordan, like the governments understand the type of stability that they want to maintain, but the people have been indoctrinated with a particular dose of Islam plus Arab nationalism that makes them, not only believe they need to help, which they don't actually believe they need to help the Palestinians. If they did, they would actually do a better job at helping them instead of creating terrorism for them. But they believe that all Islamic land is theirs, but in the area, and that the Jews have stolen Islamic land. So it's part of their ideology, and they want to build their utopian Maidic society. And so...
Wait, what's that word there? You put that in there. It's a fancy word. Maidic?
Maidic.
Oh, my, yes. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, they want this caliphate, right?
Yeah.
So, they want to build this caliphate, and Israel is preventing this, this ideology from being fully realized. So, they want to enact a wage jihad. The people in the Gulf Arabs don't necessarily care because they don't really like the Levantine Arabs anyway. They think they're just like barbarians mixed with a little bit of African blood, so it doesn't really matter. Which might be true.
Pepe, what controversy do you want to start?
Well, I'll just be upfront with it. Do you guys have any? Do you guys think there's? I see the world kind of turning on Jews. and Israel, do you guys not think that there's any? Do you guys have any idea why? Or do you just blame it all on everybody else? I think that you guys, I think Jews and Israel are they don't really see how others see them. And I think it's a huge blind spot. And I honestly think they just have the worst optics ever. And
why are people racist, Pepe? Why were people anti-Asian during, when Japan was against us, which Israel is not right now, or when we had COVID? People are hateful and irrational, and they often default to racism.
I mean, I think that people also have been in silos on the internet for a while, and those silos in the internet, especially in the far right and the far left, are are expanding, and they have been spreading anti-Semitic or call it anti-Semitism for a while now, right? For over 10 years, and then it got exacerbated after October 7th, for sure, because even after Israel only stopped the terrorists from killing its citizens, then the far left was saying that Israel and the Jews are already committing genocides, right? So just within less than 24 hours of stopping an attempted genocide, were the Jews and Israel accused of committing that heinous act. And it kind of spread from there, but now those silos are collapsing, but opening into the greater Republican and Democratic wings. I think that American politics have been captured by these extreme.
We can't gloss over what Pepe said, though. There's been a sharp hockey stick upward of Jew hate in the last 5 years in a way that is so severe and so acute, in a way that I never thought I would see it in my lifetime. And, so much so that, just general, pure, bigoted hate in the heart, Jew hate, is within the Overton window.
Yeah, it's becoming mainstream. It's not just the appearance of it, it's the mainstreaming of it. Right? It's not viewed as aberrant as it yeah.
As a pastor, may I call you a pastor? Is that the correct term?
Yes, sir.
As a pastor, I don't know what else to call you. How do you respond to that?
I think it's sin. I think it's sinful. I think it's terrible. There's a great quote by Karl Marx, one of my favorite theologians. It said, "Anti-Semitism, in all its forms, is repudiation of the grace of God."
Powerful. No, it's very powerful.
Yeah, it's on my Facebook page. I have it written down.
Detective, I've been calling you for 2 days. Your client has disappeared.
Yeah, I know, it's very interesting. I'm a talker today. I said actually, it's minister, we're just really advocating for ideology. It's not subtle. Yeah, it was not subtle. It was wild. It's Oreo. It's Oreo. Of course, anti-Semitism is wrong because it's wrong to eat anyone because of their blood right here. And then he'll go on to do all these sort of anti-Semitic tropes, but then he'll qualify with, well, but I'm not an anti-Semite, it's just regular. And of course, one taste, and then he gets on. He had this pastor, Doug Wilson, who's just kind of a nut job at a Christian nationalist. He's a smart guy, but a nut job. And Wilson was like, well, what it takes is kind of like the guy with one clean shoe. He does get it right about the systemic discrimination against white people, but then on the other shoe, he's got dog dirt. He's got dog poop, and some of the misogyny and other explicit racism. But it's just interesting, the stuff that's getting mainstreamed, right? The stuff that's subtly becoming, and I do think this is one of the worst effects of Trumpism, right? It's not so much the policy stuff that's the worst. It's the normalizing stuff. right? It's the having Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago and stuff like that. It's stuff that's let out of the closet a little bit, right? I mean, that I think is the stuff where it's tough to get stuff back into the toothpaste back in the tube.
Sure. Did you? I mean, I've listened to parts of that. Where he was in, I don't even know what the fuck the guy was. I feel like he's just a writer. He's a
Chicago mayoral candidate, John Kitover, running on February 23rd.
He was from like a couple days ago or something.
Yeah, he's the guy with the beard. Can I remember Wade?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a pastor, a very smart guy. He started a church in Moscow. I know people from that church. And he's a Christian nationalist. I mean, not a racial white nationalist, but he would want, like, if he was running Moscow, Idaho, you would be allowed to have a synagogue but not build a mosque. Muslims would be able to gather in their homes and pray, but no mosques. Yeah, Doug's interesting. If you want to hear an interesting conversation with Doug Wilson, I mean, I say interesting, it's clinically neutral. Ross Douthat had him on his podcast. If you don't listen to Ross Douthat's podcast, interesting times. It's fantastic, very interesting. And he had Doug Wilson on to talk about Christian nationalism and Christian American stuff. And Wilson is very smart. I mean, he's not some sort of evangelical Bible thumping. He's a very, very great guy, and also a little crazy. I think, yeah. So
when I listen to these people, I don't really hear. I mean, I was raised Catholic, but I don't really attend church or anything like that. But none of the stuff they say, generally, it's to combat Christian nationalism, and I don't really hear anything that is incorrect. It might be impolite to say to a Jewish audience, but it's not. I don't really think it's. I don't even think it's anything that's really bizarre, except for the Christian nationalists, how they would actually want to. They kind of have like a jihadi way of wanting to, use the government, I guess you could say, for what, or have laws, but I don't really hear, other than that, I don't really see their interpretations as being extreme.
So I think that what I said connects to what both Pepe and Scott are saying, right? So those silos on the extremes, one was always white Christian on the right, white Christian nationalism, right? And that just became the popular ideology in the far right in a large part of the Republican Party. This extreme or becoming more popular, and then on the far left you have this democratic socialism.
Yes.
Is what they call it. Yep. But it basically is communism, and neither of those things like Jews. And now they're collapsing. They're collapsing in on themselves.
To be fair, on the right, the white nationalist types, and there's a little bit of a marriage when you see people like the Groypers, and there's that whatever something. I don't know if it's Andrew Torba, the guy who owns Gab. You get some people that are racialists, like more like white nationalists, but for the most part, as somebody's been in those circles for years, those groups do not really get along. And fundamentally, how can you be in a